Good evening, everyone. We're going to start the meeting now. I would ask everyone please rise for the pledge to the flag. Okay. Amber, can you hear us?
I can.
Oh, good. Are you still going to do roll call? Can you see us?
I can see you, but if you can do it, that would be great.
Do roll call? Sure, I'll do roll call.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call. Richard Nuttall, here. Peter Tantala? Here. Amber Watson Tardif, sorry.
I'm here.
Joseph Antonelli? Here. Tom Piacentino is absent. Keith Arswald is absent. Jim Ennis? Here. Dominic Kandari?
Here.
Matthew Johnston, sorry. Hey, Matt. Jim Esposito?
Here.
Okay, we're all here. Next item, approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Is there any member of the board who read the minutes and seen any errors or omissions in the minutes? I haven't. Amber?
Nope.
No, all good. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our February 4th meeting. Need a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes passed. Third item. S/LD number 25-4, petitioned on behalf of Corman Commercial Properties to Middletown Township to seek both a zoning map amendment as well as a zoning ordinance text amendment to allow for the rezoning of the aggregate properties referenced in the application for the establishment of new use identified as Logistics Fulfillment Center in the M1 Light Manufacturing Zoning District. The undeveloped properties subject to the petition contain the addresses of 2011 West Lincoln Highway, are near the intersection of Route 1 and West Lincoln Highway, also known as Business Route 1, cover approximately 83.7 acres and split zoned between the C Commercial and M1 Light Industrial and OR Open Recreational Zoning Districts. Tax map parcels 22-015-012-011, 22-015-016, 22-016-131, 22-016-127, 22-016-125, and 22-016-124 along Lincoln Highway are proposed to be rezoned to the M1 Light Manufacturing District or Open Recreation District. There were 35 addresses notified. Look like a familiar face. We just saw you a month ago.
Yeah. Joe Blackburn from Whistle Pearlstein here on behalf of the applicant. Good to see everyone again. As you accurately summarized and probably will recall from our February meeting and our September meeting and our June meeting, the application before you tonight seeks both the rezoning of the aforementioned properties and the subsequent adoption of a text amendment which would create various new uses and overlays within those properties. For the purpose of tonight's meeting, you will recall that at our February 4th meeting, the applicant left with a list of revisions to make to the ordinance. I am happy to report that all of those revisions have been incorporated and circulated, with the exception of one, which we can touch base on. But before doing the one that we did not incorporate, just by way of brief reminder, we did exclude certain vehicular inclusions from the industrial outdoor storage use definition. We did make all uses within the Logistics Fulfillment Center by conditional use as opposed to by right. We did revise the industrial outdoor storage use to be exclusively an accessory use. We also, at the request of Mr. Ennis and Mr. Esposito, added language to prohibit the aggregation of properties to meet that 50-acre minimum. The properties need to be standalone 50 acres. You can't have multiple properties separated by rights-of-way combined in order to meet that 50-acre minimum. And we did add additional language to specify and clarify that all DEP and EPA cleanup standards would need to be met in conjunction with any development. We left that hearing, or that meeting rather, on the 4th with the assurance that make those revisions, we come back, and I think your words, Mr. Nuttall, where this will sail through. It'll be the quickest approval we ever got. So here we are. I've already blown that because I've been talking for 5 minutes. Happy to answer any questions that the commission may have, and I'm joined by Dan Rotundo from Dynamic Engineering to answer any questions as well. So
You are correct. There was one thing I did mention that you did keep on there that should have been left out was buses.
we talked about recreational vehicles. I think
And we, first in the beginning, and I got the minutes here, we talked about the whole industrial storage one, the whole thing getting erased. And then when we came back, it was the buses and the recreational vehicles. So so if we take the buses out on my end, personally, and the only other thing I looked at was under the fleet vehicles, if we could just change that to fleet, you could keep fleet vehicles, but maybe in a parentheses or something, if Jim Esposito agrees with this, to also exclude buses. If you're good with that, I'm turning it over to the rest of the board to speak and tell you anything that issues they might have.
I'm not sure I entirely follow, but I'm sure we can circle back and confirm what that would be. So,
All right, so then at this point, I mean, do you have anything else, or you want to turn it right to
the
the board?
only I did mention the one revision we did not make that was requested was to specifically enumerate the TMP numbers that this overlay would apply to, because again, there is an overlay being applicable. We did preview why that would be an issue to avoid spot zoning. We conferred further with Mr. Esposito, the township solicitor, and he can speak for himself, but was not in favor of that approach.
Yeah, I agree. If we put in just one specific text map parcel number, we would be challenged and we would lose on spot zoning at the court level. So what we did ask them to do, and you have it in front of you, is a zoning map of what properties could possibly be affected, and it's actually way less than on that map than you see, because we added that language about can't be dissected by a right-of-way or roadway or railway.
Yeah, I think what that exhibit shows, and I don't know if you're able to put that up, but it identifies the totality of the properties within the township that would satisfy that 50-acre minimum, and then identifies all but the subject property, or clarifies rather, that all but the subject property would be separated by a right-of-way of one or another, such that at the end of the day, made the mousetrap as small as possible and applicable to only our property, short of specifying the TMP numbers.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry, he was that. Anything else?
That's, I think.
Pete, you're up to there.
Yeah, thank you for explaining all that. I appreciate that. But actually, that issue is really one of my first issues, a question I have about that. I understand the spot zoning argument, but the way the ordinance reads, or the proposed ordinance reads, Section 500-2205B, as regards applicability of this ordinance, the LC Logistics Center Overlay District shall be an overlay to provide additional use of the land as appropriate within the area designated as LC on the township zoning maps, The requirements and standards of the overlay district shall supersede those of the underlying districts. So the way I read this, I would understand that there's to be a zoning map change that includes an area designated as LC.
Correct, that's the overlay that we've talked
So
about.
is this intended to be the?
That is the exhibit identifying the property. No, that is not.
So
Right, this just
I'm
IDs.
going to jump in here just to
Yeah.
clarify. I think, so Pete, I'm going to agree with you on that one little addition onto the back within the area designated as LC. There actually won't be a specific area designated on the zoning map as LC, because it's not, a lot of times you have just like a circle around an area for an overlay district. This is an overlay district that is more described within the text as opposed to on the zoning map.
so at what
that
point- yeah.
sentence, that last part of the sentence would probably need to be removed to show exactly how we're not doing it, because we're not doing an overlay district with like a like a bubble on the map.
Well, it would still be designated the LC. It would just be designated pursuant to the application of the 50-acre minimum and all that other stuff. So
Yeah, but it does say on the township zoning map. 'Cause
Right,
he's
that's how
saying
this
that's where,
reads.
that's the part where I think it just needs to be clarified.
In other words, I read
back.
this and I'm looking for the map where this is designated LC.
It's more of a little bit of ambiguous language. I think that's a minor thing that we can clear up, but it won't be specifically on the map.
So at what point in the process, when this goes to land development, will that be identified? In other words, they'll just say with the application, this is the area we intend?
Yeah, it's kind of, for lack of a better description, a floating overlay. And it's a floating overlay where you need at least 50 acres
Okay.
in the M1 zoning district.
So when we vote on this, we could be voting on any one of these parcels that,
No, because what that map's really showing, especially with the language about it needs to be contiguous, it can't be separated by a right-of-way, railway,
none
waterway, or
other
anything.
qualifies.
Yeah, so if you look at that, the one, for instance, the best one I can think of on that map, they're showing a 70-some acre, well, a couple of properties that
That's really
combine.
two sites.
It's two sites, and it's two sites that's also separated by a right-of-way, so you actually really wouldn't have a total of 50
Okay,
acres
so
or
there's
more.
no map amendment tonight?
The map amendment would be.
To rezone, I'm sorry.
yes.
To rezone the properties.
Correct.
Right, okay. Okay. Even though you don't have to now, the way it's written, because this district would supersede those of the underlying district.
That's true, but it's more of a cleanup. It's
Understood.
never a good idea to
Yeah.
have a split
Well,
zone
the
property
planning
like that.
commission went on a whole thing about trying to eliminate split zone properties, and I think that serves to do that
That's-
as well.
yes.
Right, so that's a good thing. Just by way of history, you first came to us not as an overlay, but as a revision to M1, and now you're an overlay. So that's good. That's a good thing. There are environmental benefits to this. Obviously, you're still going to provide access to the park, the recreation area. I'm kind of saying these things for everyone's benefit so they understand how we got to this point. There are a lot of uses that you removed already. Data center, that was a particularly deleterious one. Cold storage, you removed the height increase, right? In the end, and you changed a lot of uses that would have been by right to really being conditional, meaning the implication, meaning that you have to go to the Board of Supervisors to get a lot of these uses, correct? And back in front of this body. At the end, you're really not asking for much more than what M1 would allow you anyway. You're kind of rezoning the properties to get a little more M1, and that's kind of how I see it. Okay, we talked about the zoning map amendment and the way that reads, the applicability clause. I'm still not convinced about the traffic, but I'm being told that obviously when you're going to have a lot of truck traffic with these uses that you're proposing, and there may be good ways to get into this site, there's just no good way to get out of this site to go on Route 1 southbound, the Turnpike, and some of these other destinations that you, and I'm told that that's really a matter for the land development submission, which it is. It's not part of this. However, I don't think any serious developer should be talking to anyone developing this site without having an answer to that question.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a big question mark for this site in my mind. I do still have an issue with, in your section 500-2205E4, where essentially you're relaxing the natural resource protections, that they may be reduced for the development of this site. And I understand why you're asking that, but in reality, those protections don't require that you plant additional trees on that site, because this applies to woodlands and steep slopes. But there's a relief outlet there that you could plant trees on other sites. This would take that requirement away from a developer of this site. And so I still have an issue with that personally. And then lastly, I think when you do come in for land development, there's going to be a very high bar, I think, applied here in terms of you're really going to have an answer to that traffic question of how trucks are going to get out of this site. And they won't be winding through our neighborhoods and so forth. And then the whole contamination remediation thing. There's a lot of benefit to developing this site. It is very much appreciated, I think, that you added the clause in there that the environmental cleanup, any site identified by the DEP or hazardous, as a hazardous site, or the EPA they'd have to manage those cleanup requirements. And I think that it's very well appreciated that that's in there at this point. So that I see as a big benefit to this development. But between that and the traffic issue, I think there's going to be a very high bar when this comes to land development, ultimately, to this body and beyond. And those are really my questions, clarifications. Thank you.
Thank you.
You got nothing? No. Amber?
I am satisfied with the changes that were made.
Okay, then it circles back to me, and we're hung up on one word, buses. Buses gone? Strike buses and add a parentheses where fleet vehicles are that says except buses. You can have fleet vehicles. What I don't want to see in the industrial outdoor storage is I don't want to see a truck stop there. Your logistics fulfillment center, I'm good with. Trucking cross-dock facility, I'm good with. And your outdoor storage, what you changed, I'm good with. But I just think when we talk about, I don't even see the need. What need would there be to buses? Probably none, but let's take it out. We strike buses and put except buses in parentheses where the fleet vehicles are concerned, so there's no fleet buses. And you're okay with that?
I think, yeah, we can swallow that, yeah.
What's that?
Yes, yeah.
No, I didn't hear the last part.
We can swallow that, yes.
Oh, okay. Then, is there anybody from the public that wants to speak for or against this? Anybody out there for this? Sir, you can come on up and state your name and address, please.
Joe Lemming, 241 Wheat Chief. And I had sent an email out that we talked about this, and I just figured it was important to also have the question asked when the developer was here. Last month, they said they would probably clear the whole site, and does that include going to the stream? Or, and these questions may be better asked once land development, once the project comes.
Do you have that other
Comes
map that
forward.
can go up that has the conservation buffer, or that strip? Yeah.
So would you leave the conservation buffer alone
So
as it is?
There is, as a part of this, there's as a part of this a conservation buffer that is created along the stream. I mean, let's take a step back. There's no mature hardwood legacy growth. This is a landfill. It is scrub brush. Things are pouring into the stream or into the river right now. So we will need to clear the scrub brush in order to comply with the DEP and EPA capping and remediation requirements. And then after that is done, there will be the conservation area along the stream, the riparian buffer, enhanced riparian buffer that will, hopefully prevent or ameliorate that condition moving forward. So I think that answers, if that, you're looking at me like that does not answer your question, but.
So it'll be replanted, probably at the project stage, it'll be replanted to form a strong riparian buffer?
It will be preserved. I don't know. The replantings will have to be the subject of land development, but it will be not developed, not impervious. It will be open, and likely, given its proximity to the river, it will be replanted with some manner of riparian plantings. But again, that's kind of a land development question. All I can tell you right now is that it's not going to be developed in that hatched area along the entirety of the stream. So. And that's, again, to satisfy DEP and EPA. We don't, look, the less we have to do, or a developer has to do, the better from a cleanup standpoint or a tearing trees out, but that's out of our hands. We don't decide where we got to cap, what we got to take out in order to cap it. That's exclusively the province of DEP and EPA, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
Did he answer all your questions, sir? You good?
Probably a land development.
There'll be a lot more discussed during land development, like
Land
a whole
development
lot
and-
more.
And the conditional use part as well, because so it'll be conditional use and land development for whatever use is going to be happening
Yeah.
on here.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else from the public? So at this point then, I'm going to ask for a motion, but I want to amend, I got an A, B, C, and D. I need to, how do I amend E to say strike buses from the industrial outdoor storage section and add in except buses in the fleet vehicles part?
Exactly how you just said it.
You just did.
Man, I'm a lawyer and I never even knew it, huh? All right then, Amber, are you okay with everything so far?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so then I'm going to ask for a recommendation of approval for S/LD 25-4, petition to Corman Properties to amend the Middletown Township zoning ordinance by allowing a logistics fulfillment center use type with associated requirements in the M1 light manufacturing zoning district, and to change the Middletown Township zoning map by rezoning an aggregate of properties to the M1 light manufacturing or OR open recreation zoning districts. Aggregate of properties contained the Bucks County tax map parcels, here we go again, 22-015-012-001, 22-015-016, 22-016-131, 22-016-127, 22-016-125, and 22-016-124. Recommendation is further based on compliance with the comments in the provided lists. A, January 5th, 2026 memorandum from Isaac E. Kessler, P.E., and Dominic Conderi, P.E. of Remington and Vernick Engineers. B, September 9th, 2025 letter from Matthew D. Johnson, P.E. of Pannoni Associates Incorporated, Middletown Township's Traffic and Transportation Engineer. C, August 6th, 2025 review letter from the Bucks County Planning Commission. D, June 26, 2025 letter from the Middletown Township Environmental Advisory Council. And E, discussion during meeting.
You could say strike buses and add except buses in parentheses after fleet vehicles for the outdoor storage definition.
Okay, so E would be strike buses from the industrial outdoor storage section and also add except buses in the fleet vehicle section of the industrial outdoor storage definitions. Did I do that right? Just before I call for a vote, Dominic, was there any other issues? I know we talked about this a couple times. Did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Not at this time, no.
Not at this time? Okay. Matt? I didn't think so. Then, all in favor? Pete? Aye. Aye. Amber, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for working with us, especially me on my bus thing.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks. That was not the quickest, but I'll hold you to it next time.
That's Pete's fault. You can blame that on, listen, you can blame that on Pete. That was all him. I only had one word, buses. Okay. Pardon me 1 minute because Joe just handed me his agenda and somehow I lost it. I don't know what I did with it either. I think I found it. Next item, here we go. S/LD 25-12, application for subdivision and preliminary/final land development for a two-lot subdivision with the construction of two new single-family dwellings, address 316 Tollgate Road, Langhorne, PA 19047. Tax map parcels 22-004-015, RA-3 Resident Zoning District, 23 addresses notified. Sir, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, good evening, Andrew Stoll on behalf of the applicant. Mr. Blackburn had hinted at being quick. I'll be even quicker. This was before you a couple months ago, and there were really just two issues dealing with some of the neighbors. There was a rear neighbor who was claiming rights to certain property. That's been resolved, and there were other rights raising issues with respect to a driveway. Those issues have been addressed. We have a clean review letter from the township engineer. With me here tonight is the applicant's engineers, Jake Diaz and Eric Clace. Happy to answer any questions, though. I think this one seems a lot more straightforward than the one that just went through.
Oops, sorry, okay. Dominic, did you have anything on this one?
I guess just to clarify, our latest review letter that you mentioned was clean. We did have some conditions of approval that those items would still need to be addressed prior to the plans being final. I do know that a plan was sent out earlier today that addressed some of those comments you mentioned about the residents, one being the widening of the access road. So I'm just looking at it as you're speaking. So I just want to mention this. So you're adding the storm drainage within the paper street. So just to clarify, that is a paper street. So, I'll have to confirm this with the solicitor, but that would require easements from those property owners that is in front of, since that is a paper street, and that would be included in the O&M agreement?
To my understanding, a paper street is an easement, and we would have the right to improve it with the township's approval, but
I haven't seen specifically where you're trying to put this storm drainage, so, but I'll have to,
it's all within the paper street limits.
okay.
So what we did is on the hydraulically low side, we put an inlet to capture the flow from the additional stone, and we're taking that into my client's property, into an energy dissipator, and then releasing it into his property.
Okay. I think we can work with you, but I'll have to look
Okay.
at it a little.
It works.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to mention that as I'm looking at the plan for the first time, but, no, other than that, I mean, we had, like I mentioned, a conditional approval the last time, but perhaps, Mr. Claes, could you just, I know there were some adjustments too with the stormwater, the footprints, if you could just touch on that and how they've been relocated and perhaps why they were
Okay.
relocated?
And as Andrew stated at the last meeting, one of the rear property owners, we worked with them with an easement as to where they were utilizing part of my client's property. We have an easement in place for that. Part of that agreement of the easement was to remove any proposed storm sewer out of it. So we weren't going to give them an easement and then put a basin in it. So we slightly adjusted if you're looking at the plan, we slightly adjusted the basin to the left and pulled it to the bottom a little bit just to get it outside the easement of the area that he utilizes. Other than that, the basin has the same volume, the same design. Everything is similar except for the shape changed a little bit.
Thank you.
Can you turn our screens on so we can see that? All our screens are off. Who controls that? Okay, Matt, did you have, well, we'll keep going did you have anything, Matt? Because it's paper street, no traffic situation. Okay, then at this point, I'm going to turn it over to questions from the board. Joe? Or you want to wait till the screen comes up? Excuse us, we're having technical difficulties.
On yours yet?
Nothing yet. No. Do you have yours?
Yeah.
Pete, do you have anything on your screen? No, we don't have anything on our screens right now. Well, do you want to wait, Joe, to question until you see the map, or do you have any questions? I don't have any questions. You don't have any questions? Okay. Amber, can you hear us?
I can hear you. It sounds like the concerns of the neighbors were met, which was my concern. So I'm good at this time.
Okay, Pete?
Yeah, I came to this with actually two concerns. One, and I had no concerns before I woke up this morning on this one, but then an email came through, as Dominic mentioned, that showed some differences in the stormwater management and how that's being managed on the site. And it looked like a little more than what you just explained. It looked like there were differences also in the level spreaders to the neighbors and some other things. I did see the difference in how you're collecting runoff from the widened road, and that's going to its own level spreader, and I guess that'll be unmanaged as it goes onto the one property. I don't know if that's required to be managed or not. And then it looks like another difference, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you have a very long level spreader at, I guess, what you would call the rear of the property to the neighbors? But that's now changed.
We had a longer, thinner one, but that it went into this area of the easement. But the discharge point is still the same, so what we did is we shrunk it up and made it wider. So it has the level spreader is the same volume, the same amount of water gets into it, but it no longer goes into this easement area with the neighbor. That was
So
part.
it looks like you narrowed it to avoid that one neighbor and maybe avoid the one property. So you have the same amount of volume going through a smaller area.
No, we made it wider. It was long and thinner, now it's shorter and thicker. And it's the exact same discharge point.
And I'm
Hydraulic.
assuming our township engineer still.
Oh, he's gonna confirm
Is going to
that.
have the opportunity to review all this.
And again, that could be a condition of approval because he has all the rights in the world to review it and make sure what I'm stating right now is correct.
Okay, all right. Were there any other changes to the stormwater management, grading, E&S?
Well, obviously,
Any of that?
well, not obviously to you guys, when you make those changes, the grading changes a little bit. We had to pull the structure out of the easement, so there was a minor grading in those areas. But overall, outside of that easement and outside of the access drive changes, there's been no other changes. The only grading changes was to address the easement and the access drive.
How did you arrive at that widened access drive?
That was with my client talking to the neighbors directly. I was not
6
involved.
feet was agreed upon, and
6 feet in the beginning, and then it's a little bit more. It's hard to read with what's up there, but I have a blow-up, so I'll read it right from the blow-up.
well, my second concern in all this was your relationship with the neighbors, and I really want to hear that, to hear that everything's worked out with the neighbors. I see a lot of neighbors are probably here. I'm sure they're all going to stand up and say everything's,
Stand up and speak, I'm sure, but our client's here, he had those conversations.
Pete, before you, hold on, before
oh,
we
I'm
go.
not calling on anyone.
No, before we go any further, there was one thing I missed at the beginning of the meeting. I see a lot of people out there. Is anybody here for the Clearview case, Clearview Avenue case tonight? I heard that was canceled. So I'm sorry that I forgot to mention that in the very beginning to keep you here so long. But the Clearview lot line change and development was canceled for tonight's meeting.
So,
Excuse me?
yeah,
Go ahead.
so we don't know right now. They are still planning on moving forward with that project, but there's some issues that they have to address. You will have the same kind of notification process again, so you will be contacted. Okay?
Sorry about that, guys. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I didn't want people sitting here all night for, that. But go on. Pete, who was talking? I'm sorry.
Pete had a question. I was going to just try and put a bow on one issue about what the conversations with the neighbors. I can tell you because I was personally involved in negotiating the easement with the neighbor, and forgive me, Mr. Poltanovich, I believe is how it's pronounced, where the easement area is. We went back and forth with plan iterations, concepts, things like that, of concerns that were incorporated into an easement that all parties finalized. So there was significant dialogue with.
That's the easement with the neighbor to the rear where you backed off the level spreader
Everything from grading to what type of level spreader to aesthetic.
in that area. But the driveway,
In the driveway, my client had taken care of.
well, we're going to hear from the neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was just speaking with the client. The client said he had spoken with the neighbors multiple times, but they're here, so they can obviously speak for themselves to see if they've been appeased or not.
You good, Pete, for right now, or?
Yeah, I know trash was an issue as well. Access, that sort of thing. I guess we'll hear about all.
Yeah. So with that, the only thing procedurally to ask is that what's before you is obviously a recommendation on this. There's just one waiver, which is more technical. It's the preliminary final plan review. So with that, I appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you. I have questions, two quick ones. One, I remember last time you were here, part of the roadway was encroached on one of the ladies' properties, and we talked about shifting that off of her property, and then there was a discussion on who was going to pay for that. That's one issue I'm interested in hoping was resolved since before then. And the other question I have for you is, the fire marshal's letter that we received says, ensure hydrants are installed within allowable distance, Appendix C-2018 IFC. Now, have you looked at that article, and do you comply with the fire hydrant spacing?
Well, we've reached out to the fire marshal every day this week. He hasn't, we're going to comply with the requirements. There is no public water in the vicinity. There's going to be no fire hydrant. What the answer could be is a standpipe with a tank, but we've reached out, we've emailed. Until we get an answer, the condition of approval can be, we will address a fire marshal's requirements and needs for emergencies. But without public water, you can't have a fire hydrant.
Unless you bring it in from somewhere else.
Toll Brothers isn't going to allow us.
Okay, we'll give you a chance to speak, ma'am. I just wanted to hear from them and see what that whole situation was. So we got to really talk to the fire marshal, or somebody does, find out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's either they, depending on where this goes tonight, if they can do a will comply, which means then they're working directly with Alan
Right.
to resolve all the issues that are listed, or not necessarily issues, the comments that are listed in his letter.
And also in his letter is about the turning radiuses for a tower ladder.
Yeah,
You
we're going
meet
to
that,
address that with them. Yep.
but you're going to meet, he gave a wheelbase 288 overall length 591. He gave that. You're going to
Understood.
meet that dimension.
We're gonna
Dominic,
address
they meet that on the plan? Or is there?
Yeah, I just got the plans. I mean, the plans haven't been revised since the last time we reviewed them until today.
So, the fire marshal what? So you haven't finished reviewing the plan yet?
No, not
new
the
one.
submission that we just got today, no.
Oh, so why are we here?
It's,
Let's be careful with the word resubmission. We provided an exhibit for how we were going to address the comments at the last meeting. Dominic's letter is clean. There are conditions. We will meet the conditions of anything that's at the meeting tonight. But let's boil this back down. It's a two-lot subdivision that's by right. We will work with the fire marshal.
We're boiling it down to, so like, try not to shift it to where, don't put words in our mouths, is what I'm trying to say. Like, if he says he just got something today and didn't have time to review it, my first question is, why are we talking about this without our professional engineer reviewing something? So at that point, we're going to take a step back on this and make sure everything's done right, okay? So let's keep that in mind, and then go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, one thing, I'm not speaking for anyone here. We have an exhibit on the screen that was provided. We're not asking for a review. We're walking you through it just like we're going to walk Dominic through it. There will be a new submission that he will address as a final. What we're asking for is, we were asked at the last meeting to look into a couple of topics. We did. We feel we addressed them. That's why we're here. If there's a feedback or back and forth, we'll address it even further. But at the end of the day, there was only two topics at the last meeting, and we feel we've addressed them correctly. We've dealt with the neighbors. We worked with the neighbors. Anything else could be a condition of approval. Again, the reason I watered it back down was it's a two-lot subdivision by right. There was one existing home. Now there's going to be two total homes. We got to look at this as what is the totality of what's going on. We're not doing a 50-lot subdivision. We're doing two homes where there's one existing.
To us, two homes is just as important as 50 or 500 homes.
Understood.
We try and look at everything in an equal, fair basis, you know?
Okay.
But when you did just say you know, there's another revision that Dominic's going to review, and whatever Dominic reviews, you will comply to it. But that doesn't mean we got a chance to see that, and we got a chance to review it, and we got a chance to have an opinion on it. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we appreciate that. It's immaterial to your review of the plans. The only reason that the revisions are even pertinent is because they address the two things that came up at the last meeting. It was the encroachment issue with the one neighbor and the driveway issue with the other neighbors. Those have been addressed. Conceptually, broad scale, this plan is the same exact plan that was before you before. The only small changes are the ones that we've mentioned to address the comments. So this is not a resubmission of the sort that you just heard about with a rezoning or an overlay. This is very, very insubstantial. And again, just added layer of protection. We will have to go through Dominic again. We will have to go through the Board of Supervisors. This is just a preliminary plan approval recommendation from you guys.
Okay. We heard from everybody on the board. I think we're going to open it up to the public then at this point. Is there anybody from the public? I do see we had a list of two people that wanted to speak. Mary Ann Geishimer? Did I say that correctly? Oh, sorry. It's all yours, Mary Ann.
I'm Marianne Geisheimer. I'm at 317 Tollgate Road. I have the thing from the fire marshal from the 30th of December. We talked to him. He said 2 fire hydrants, and there is public water right out in front of my house. So water can be taken right down that road, and there's no reason why it can't. The guy across the street, 2 houses down, they told him he had to put a fire hydrant in front of his house or he could not build. So he was forced to put a fire hydrant down and pay for it himself. My thing is, where did I put my notes? My driveway right now is only 10 feet wide. So it has to go another 14 feet over in order for them to comply. For the width of the fire truck, it has to be 24 feet. So I have that. I want to ensure that it is a single-family dwelling because there's 2 doors, 2 garages. That's a duplex. My 15-year-old daughter said, "Mom, that's a duplex. Why do you have 2 front doors?" I want to ensure that that is a single-family home. And if the township doesn't enforce the fire marshal's recommendations with the fire hydrants and everything, and something happens, who's liable? I'm a taxpayer, and I don't want to be liable.
Okay. How do we come to this with the fire marshal?
So this is actually, believe it or not, pretty standard. He says that you have to insure all these things. So there's code requirements. So at least when it comes to the fire hydrant, ensure hydrants are installed within an allowable distance. Now, I'm not the fire marshal. I don't really know the code.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to demonstrate compliance with that code. And it may come down to them having to install a fire hydrant. It really will be up to the fire marshal. That usually happens, this is, again, it's pretty standard. That happens like what I call post-land development approval, but prior to any kind of permits are issued.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they said right now they would need 3 fire trucks in order to get to a fire back there. They would have to hook up 3 fire trucks.
Okay. And her next issue she had was the 24-foot wide street.
That's
I'm going to get it from our professionals
fire
here.
marshal.
Yeah.
And that's another fire marshal issue, Jim?
So, yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the fire apparatus access roads comment, it's provide a turning plan demonstrating access to property for a tower ladder. So they're still going to have to show that on a plan to his satisfaction. So they're going to have to absolutely demonstrate that a tower ladder can get down there and also turn and maneuver around there.
So let's hypothetically say they can't provide that with the drawing that we're all looking at right now. Then they have to come back with a whole new drawing and a whole new plan back to us?
If they can't comply with the fire marshal's comments, and they're probably going to say we'll comply to everything as far as any comments that were raised in all the different review letters, including the fire marshals, then yeah, they would have to then all of a sudden readdress things and potentially have to do amendment of land development and come before you again.
Okay.
And can I also put on record that he did reach out, but we never discussed. He told me what he wanted. We never discussed, and we never agreed to anything. Just so,
You're the one with the road that it comes over onto your property? Was that you?
Yes.
Was that ever resolved?
in there, he said he would move it over.
Okay, so that's what his applicant said, that he would move it over. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Can
Joe,
we real quick just clarify that they're single-family dwellings, or
Yes,
are
can we
they
clarify that?
multifamily?
sorry, Amber.
It's a condition of approval, and just to put a bow on it, Mr. Ennis has accurately summarized everything, that all of the review letter comments would be conditions of approval and will complying with those comments. So,
And then on top of everything else, it's in a zoning district that does not allow duplexes or twins.
Okay.
So it is, right now, we're viewing it as a single-family home, and it will always have to continue it as that type of use type. If they were to, all of a sudden, if we were to discover that they were proposing a twin, we would not approve it. If we discover later on that they converted it into a twin, then there would be an enforcement issue.
Got it.
I think we brought this up last time, too. I mean, it was obvious to me, there's two separate garages there with one common driveway, and it's set up to be divided as if it could be that way. And then when asked, the applicant said it's going to be a single-family dwelling that time. Other than enforcement, the plan doesn't say that, but it is very skeptical. Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, it would have to be enforcement. They have the right to build it like that, but if they turned it into a twin, duplex, anything like that, we would enforce the violations of the zoning code.
Skeptical.
Joe DeFinis? Did I say your name right, sir? All right. Sometimes I do get it right.
313 Tollgate Road. Now, the road, the paper road, is it going to be made to township specs? Because,
I don't
listen,
know what you
I talked to the
really-
fire marshals when they were out there. They cannot get their equipment down there. It's a driveway. It's no bigger than a single-car driveway right now. I mean,
that is something they're going to have to do when they're finally done construction, is that they are going to have to make the access road to a standard. It may not have to be the full township standard, because I think it's impossible due to the width and everything else, but it will have to be at least to the engineer standard, that it is a fully accessed, fully paved, properly graded road.
why can't it be, what you say, to the standard road?
The township standard handles it with a certain right-of-way width. This does not have that right-of-way width because it's a paper street. So you can't actually make it like a public road, but they can absolutely make it to, as best as possible, the standards of a public road within the context of what they have to work with. So long story short,
Over 30 foot from the telephone pole, which is at the edge of the road, the paper road,
right,
to Mary Ann's driveway,
right.
to the road. There's plenty of room to build a road to township standards.
Well, so I think I'm maybe probably getting a little lost in the weeds here as far as township standards, meaning code requirements, but it will be to township standards, meaning that the township will not approve that road unless it is absolutely a well-equipped, fully functional, properly graded, properly paved road that would also meet even the fire marshal's standards of making sure that fire and emergency vehicles can access it and also maneuver around there.
See, I talked to them. They came out there and looked at it, the fire
Right.
marshal. And he said he could not get his trucks down there.
Not now, but we would definitely not ever close out this project if it were ever to be approved and permits were issued for construction without them doing a great deal of rehab or redevelopment of that road, so it's a fully functional
On a
road.
road.
Yeah, that would be part of,
Right now, it's just a cow path, you know what I mean?
right, so it definitely would be, it'd be significantly improved in effort to make sure that all vehicles, especially emergency vehicles, can get in and out of there.
So you make a road bigger than a single lane driveway, okay? Now, once it gets past my driveway, it's all woods. There's over 130 trees down there, mature trees. They'll have to come down.
I'm not familiar with what he's stating.
There is woodlands disturbance with this project, which I believe they had addressed last time, that they would provide a fee in lieu of replacing the trees that are being disturbed as part of the woodlands.
That many trees?
I don't know where you could put the 130 trees after the road goes.
Did it look like it was going to be that many trees?
It was, I believe it exceeded the 20%, but below the 50% that's permitted per the zoning ordinance.
But he has to tear down that whole hedgerow. That's what it's called, a hedgerow, to put part of this road in. Move it off of Mary Ann's property, and it's 30-foot road is normally what they call for. And there's plenty of room to put that 30-foot road. So I want water run down there. You need a cul-de-sac down there for get your engines in there, your fire engines, and a road. Because right now it's just a single lane. Well, okay,
I got a picture of all the trees along the road.
and they're all mature trees.
So again, I can just mention, I believe it was, the number I see on the plans is approximately 45% woodlands disturbance, whereas they can disturb up to 50, but once they exceed anything more than 20% is when they would have to either provide replacement trees or a fee in lieu, if that was agreeable to the township.
Well, I'm sure there'll be room to put trees down, maybe her property and my property and DeFazio's property, trees. But you're gonna have to take down 100 and some trees, mature trees, and there is water out on Tollgate Road. So they don't have to go over to Toll Brothers. I'm hooked up to the city water. She's hooked up to city water.
Yeah, sir. Like I said, this is just the very beginning of this. If it does get a recommendation of approval, I don't know if it will or not. I can't speak for the planning commission. All your concerns are going to be addressed and ensure that the tree replacements are put in effect, that anything as far as a road that's fully functional, again, can facilitate emergency vehicles.
Saying the road's fine, and they're just going to move it over a little bit and put stone down. That's not a road.
Is that what? Yeah, please. Yeah.
All right. What we're stating is at the last meeting, we were never asked to build a public road. We were asked to discuss with the neighbors till we reach a point of either you agree not to agree or you're making an improvement that's satisfactory. As far as I was aware, that was addressed, but I'm hearing it's not. We, at the last meeting, never discussed putting in a public road all the way back to a cul-de-sac bulb for one additional home. It was always going to be improving an existing driveway for a property that has a home on it, that we were putting one more. That was the discussion. We do have a fire marshal letter. We will address it with the fire marshal. By no means can we build anything where the fire marshal's saying it's unsafe. We will address any comments he has. Like I stated 20 minutes ago, we've reached out to him multiple times. We will continue to reach out to him until we talk to him, address his comments to his satisfactory. This project's not going anywhere without his approval. So we will continue speaking to him. If it is the fact that we got to run water into the property with a fire hydrant, we'll end up doing it. He's not going to approve it without that. So we, again, can make it a condition of approval. But let's go back to the road. We never agreed to put a public road in here for one home.
I don't believe that gentleman's looking for a public road. He's just looking for a road that would absolutely be better than what's there now,
Yes,
and
sir.
also
We're
with
willing to-
yeah.
My client's willing to do that.
And also the township, honestly, I can't speak for the Department of Public Works, especially their director, but I'm going to guarantee you that he does not want it to be a public road as well.
Right.
He doesn't want to have to maintain the public road. It would be the responsibility of your client to maintain and everything else.
And to reiterate what was stated at the last meeting, we hear a lot of, I want, but don't touch my property. How do you improve things when part of the existing road goes into your property, yet you have a neighbor standing here saying, don't touch my property? So I'm going to improve it outside of your property, but the road already goes into your property. We're hearing a lot of double talk. So we want to work with the neighbors. We want to do the right thing, but we're also not going to have my client, adverse possession, improve this, improve that, improve this, but don't take trees. At a certain point, we have a by right plan. The township's got to respect the ordinances in place. That's where I'm at.
I don't care what he says. Yeah, I don't. I want a road. There's going to be 3 homes down there. They're saying 2, but it's going to be 3 because it's a duplex. Anybody here has just 1 car in the family, something's wrong. There's 2 cars, 3 cars in a family. If it's as big as a driveway, when I want to get out or she wants to get out and they want to come in, it's not working. You need a road. The fire marshal cannot get any apparatus down there. It's over 1,000. How far is it, Robbie? 800? What'd you say from toll gate? Huh? 780 feet. So 780 feet from Toll Gate Road. Now, the furthest hydrant, where's he at? Oh, you moved. Yeah. When he built his house, they made him, the township made him, put a water main in and a hydrant out of his pocket. So I want a road. Simple as that. Trash trucks got to go down, fire engines got to go down, ambulances got to go down. They can't do it now. Don't have to be a 50-foot road, but it needs to be a road big enough for 2 lanes, 1 out, or, a lane on each side. That's it. That's what I want.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody who didn't sign the list who would like to speak on behalf of this case tonight? Come on up, sir. Can you just state your name and address, please?
My name is Ernie Nidell. I live at 1346 Hill Street. I'm the gentleman who the township and mainly the fire marshal requested that I bring a line from Tollgate Road. And fortunately for these gentlemen, the water is on their side of Tollgate, not on my side. So, but he required me to bring a water line all the way up the street, or halfway up the street to my house, and including a fire hydrant. All of that was at my expense before I could put my house in. So, but I just wanted to reconfirm that what Marianne stated. So that was it. Thank you.
So can you guys reiterate on, so I hear 3 neighbors saying there's water on the property. You were saying earlier there's no water on the property.
If I can just, one thing I think is just greatly being missed is there's a house back there now, right? So it's not like we're putting something back we're on land that's not used right now. So when we're talking about how we're making all these improvements, the fire marshal's gonna make sure and we're gonna go through fire marshal requirements, there's a house back there now. So it's deemed safe access and it's deemed safe right now in terms of fire code requirements. We're just adding 1 home. Forgive me, I will answer your question. I just want to make sure that that's abundantly clear because I think that's being missed by a lot of the comments.
Okay, so who's answering my question?
I'll answer it. Again, I didn't state there's no water on the property. There is no water on the property. There's water within Tollgate Road, which is hundreds of feet away. What I did state is we will address the fire marshal's comments to his satisfaction. If it ends up being we have to bring in water and put a fire hydrant, my client has to do it. But there's other ways to address fire needs. Like I stated now 40 minutes ago, you could put a tank in with a standpipe. The tank constantly has water in it, and if there's an emergency, they tie up to the standpipe just like they would a fire hydrant. We will address it to the fire marshal's requirements and desires. So we're not trying to skate around it, but we're also not just going to willy-nilly say, hey, we're going to do this without talking to the fire marshal first. So we're willing to meet his requirements after we speak with him and work with him.
I know in the past, years ago or sometimes, there has been times where we had a lot of fire marshal comments and were able to address them. I remember there was a development off of Woodburn where they were going to access another property not owned by them with a gate for the fire trucks to get in case there was a fire. It was an apartment complex on Woodburn. And we had a little bit more insight with the fire marshal prior to, knowing what's going on. I guess my concern is if there's an issue with this road, I don't know if the road needs to be wider or whatever it has to be done. I don't think it has to be improved to blacktop, but between the road, between the possibility of possibility of needing fire hydrants and water, I think this is going to change the outlook of the plan we're looking at now. If any of this is required to be put in, if the road needs to be widened, if the water and the fire has to come in, why? I guess I'm going to ask the members of the board: should we table this until we get more information from the fire marshal and a little bit more clarity from the fire marshal and as far as this fire hydrant and road width situation?
Can I be so rude as to interject?
You can, but I mean, if you're going to say it's just one house up there and they're just adding another house, that's going right through us all.
Understood. I think the fire marshal has interjected, and I just want to make sure the context is clear for what is on the table tonight. It's an application with review letters that we're standing here saying all of the comments are will comply. So there's
I get you're saying will comply, and the part I just brought up was if you will comply and if the fire marshal says you're required to widen the road and required to put in water for a fire hydrant, that is going to change your plan a little bit, isn't it?
Not enough that this would.
It's going to change. That's a yes or no answer. Is it going to change your plan?
Change. I mean,
will it change your plan, sir? Yes or no?
In what way?
No. I'm just looking for a yes or a no.
The question that I now have is the Planning Commission going to make us come back for any change? And I hope that this is standard for any application that comes before this commission. Is there going to be any?
We usually have a little bit more information. That's what I brought up earlier.
Is every application now comes through this township, if there is any significant change, significant or insignificant, is the Planning Commission going to say, I get that there are review letters and it's will comply, but we're tabling it until I see the very last.
We will comply a lot of things.
It's the Planning Commission.
We will
not coming in for permit for.
I get it. We will comply with a lot of things.
So I'm gonna interject here. So I understand, Mr. Stoll, that you're saying that you will comply, and I believe you will. They're worried about what is that compliance going to look like, and how is it going to affect the future, especially the road. To me, if you need to take water back there, that's going to be underneath, and you'll figure that out. But how is the road going to look, and will that affect other things along the properties? And they want to see how that is going to look like. How is that compliance going to affect the overall plan? So I think that's a reasonable request where how wide, like when you comply with the fire marshal's letter about the road, we're not asking you to build it to township standards for dedication. Township doesn't want it to be dedicated. But we want to see what it's going to look like, the width it's going to look like to be compliant with the fire marshal's letter.
And I think it would be fair then for every application to come.
And they have done that in the past, where we see something, because everyone says they will comply, but there are some aspects that are more significant than others that it could affect other aspects. This might not. It might not affect anything else, but they want to see it. So I think it's a fair representation of what they're looking for to see how that will affect this plan. They have done that in the past where they said, we want to see what that compliance is going to look like before it moves on to the supervisors.
And then I think maybe it's a good compromise, and it's well within your power to say, we would make a recommendation on this plan that you have now if there are going to be significant changes as a result of compliance with the fire marshal review letter, then you could come back. But if the plan's going to be as the plan is, as we're saying it's going to be, then you should stand by our representation. And if there's going to be significant changes, then maybe you bring us back. But this is
You have a lot of maybes, and I guess I would put back to you is, if you're not worried about what you have there now and you're going to comply with everything with the fire marshal, why wouldn't you be okay with us seeing it? Why wouldn't you be okay with taking care of that and bringing it back to us?
Bluntly, because there's a house back there already.
That's irrelevant. Your plan is
You
to, so
asked-
but you're saying to me, why don't we approve it the way it looks? We're asking, well, there's a possibility of this, a possibility of that. There's a lot of ifs here. Then you're asking us to approve that plan the way it is, and then you would come back again. Well, if you were so confident that it was going to stay just like this and comply with all the fire marshal's requests, why wouldn't you just say, sure, we'll do it, we'll figure it out with the fire marshal, and we'll come back? The end.
If we thought it was going to be an issue, we wouldn't be paying to have engineers and attorneys.
You just answered my question. You're saying it's no issue, but you're not willing to be okay with coming back when the fire marshal complies, tells you you
What I just
comply.
proposed to Mr. Ennis is that if there are significant changes as a result of addressing those comments, we would come back. But as of right now, you have
Then
a.
why are you asking us to approve something that has the possibility of you coming back? And you use the word possibility and if just as many times as I just did.
Sure, and with all due respect, I don't want to argue about this.
I'm just wondering why you wouldn't be willing to give that to us. You're looking for us to approve this tonight. We told you we have concerns. We would like to see a little bit more of what the fire marshal requires, and because it's a little, to us, a little on the vague side. So on your end, why wouldn't you be willing to just say, sure, we're going to go work with the fire marshal. If the plan changes, we're going to come up with a new plan. We're going to bring it to Dominic, and we're going to go and we're going to comply with everything. You're asking us to give you an approval and a will comply on a lot of major things here. And the fact that there's a house there already, to me personally, is irrelevant. To me, I'm looking at it as a whole type of, new project there, because I see 2 new homes there. And I don't know why you're being so combative with us when we're asking for something simple. If you went to the fire marshal tomorrow and he said, I looked at it, everything complies, come back next month. Other than Pete asking questions, you'll be in and out in 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
But why are you so combative as to not give us what we're asking for? We're not asking you to spend a ton of money. We're asking you to work with the fire marshal. And if it comes down to the fire marshal telling you to spend a ton of money, then that's not us.
Yeah, I think we're all landing in the same place. And Rich, I do agree with what you're saying. But what I need as a professional, I need clear guidance then of what you as a board will accept with this road improvement. Because I've heard a couple of different versions. What we're willing to do is widen it. It's paved to a certain point. We were going to continue that pavement after construction, fix it, but we were not going to pave it all the way through. We were going to put stone down.
Yeah, I don't even know if paving was discussed in this. And Jim did say earlier the township doesn't
And that's
want
where
it.
it's getting confused between
That's what I need direction
what some of the neighbors are requesting and what the township is
Right.
requiring.
So all I need to know is when we come back in, if we feel we've addressed everything, I just don't want a situation of, hey, this isn't a public road. Like, we will pave it to a certain point, which we promised at the last meeting. That paving will be done post-construction. So if it gets torn up in the beginning during construction, we repair it, replace it, then it will be stone from that point out. We're representing that. That's what's going to be on the plan. We do realize it may get wider due to the fire marshal. We're good with all of that. But I need to know that the planning commission's good with stone, because there's no sense in doing all this. And
I can only speak for myself on the play. I mean, I never looked at this as it was going to be paving the whole way, personally. But what I would say to answer your question is, I would be happy with whatever Dominic, Jim, and Matt agree with. That's what I would agree with. I can't speak for Pete or Joe or Amber, but I knew there was some blacktop, but I never saw this as blacktop and curb and none of that. No, the township doesn't want the street, basically.
we're on the same page. All right,
That's my personal opinion of it. Pete and Joe, do you have anything to say about that? And Amber?
I think what I would say to this is if the standard is that you think you have a compliant, more or less, plan, and everything else is up to will comply, then there's no need to come to us, right? Then our vote means nothing. The neighbors' say means nothing. If that's the standard, that you just have that plus will comply, and you should be able to go through. That's not how it works.
You're reversing back of what I just said. I just said agreed with Rich.
Yeah, he did say that.
No, I understand that, but earlier what was said was, hey, we have a pretty compliant plan, we're going to comply with everything else.
You're hearing frustration. You're just hearing frustration. It's a two-lot subdivision. The process should be a little simpler than this, but we get it. I agreed with Rich. Let's table it. Let's come back. I just wanted to make sure when we came back.
So you want to vote tonight, or you don't want to vote tonight?
We were planning,
I agreed with Rich.
my plan was to table until we got a little bit more information from the fire marshal.
We're not going to force a vote and you vote denial. I mean, that would be silly.
Can I just add, I mean, we don't really know if it will be stoned or paved, right, at this time, right? The township standard, as I'm calling it right now, is to the township satisfaction. So that will be civil engineer, traffic engineer, and fire marshal, and their consensus on what will be acceptable as far as the design of the driveway, road, whatever you want to call it, the paper
We
street.
will have a very clear plan, hatched, paving, stone, what the stone is, what the compaction is. We'll have all of that.
Pete, you good? Amber, do you have any questions?
No, and we just had that additional wild card in the beginning when the easement was granted, that changed the plan a little, again, that Dominic didn't really get to look at that there. So I just think it's better that we table this. I agree.
Joe? Yeah, let our professionals hash out the road or type of road or whatever road. My concerns just would, there's possibilities, could widen out, could need a fire hydrant, could need a tank, could need a whole new outlook to what we're looking at. It looks like your client took care of the Mary Ann's Road that was shifted up on there. I know we talked about that. He was going to move that over to it's not on her property. So, yeah, I think that once we get a little bit more clear understanding with the fire marshal and it doesn't change the overall plan, Pete, you okay with that or?
Yeah, the only other thing was trash was an issue last time as well, if you recall.
Well, the concern with the trash, my understanding was the truck getting down there, if they're making it good enough for the fire marshal's truck to get down there, I would think that would
We
also
would
address the
presume
trash
that.
truck.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, they can do like me. I have to walk my trash all the way down to the end of my driveway to the main street.
And
That's
that,
what I do
and
for
that
my
might be the
trash.
requirement of waste management, but they'll have to deal with that if that's what waste
Yeah.
management says.
All right, so then I'm going to make a motion to table this until we have a clearer understanding of what the fire marshal is requiring, mainly for whether or not a fire hydrant's required, whether or not a road widening's required. And if it is, the applicant will work that out with Dominic and Matt and the fire marshal, and when they all come to a happy plan of agreement, then you can come back, and I don't think there would be any other issues I don't have any other issues with this other than the concerns with the fire marshal. Pete, do you have any other concerns that you
Again,
might
my two
address to
issues-
them before we do this?
Yeah, no, again, my two issues remain the same as they were, as you said 40 minutes ago. One, that our township engineer has the ability to review the plan. There were changes in the stormwater management that was obvious. And secondly, that the neighbors were satisfied to the township's, satisfaction.
Well, we got to be careful there. The first meeting we spoke about, meet with the neighbors until a point of you've tried your best. That's all we can do.
And he clarified to the township satisfaction, work with the neighbors to the township satisfaction.
To the township satisfaction. Joe, anything to add?
Rich,
No.
I think you said 10 minutes next meeting, right? Is that right? No
You
more.
guys are holding me to the minutes.
Apparently, as long as Pete's
I
not-
no, what I said was 10 minutes excluding Pete.
Teasing.
I did say that. All right, Amber, do you have anything else to add?
No, I echo Pete, satisfying the neighbor concerns to the township satisfaction and letting somebody take a fresh eyes at that stormwater amendment change.
Okay,
That's what I got.
then a motion is on the table to table this. Is there a second? Joe seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that is 10 minutes minus Pete. Just remember that for next time.
Can you get us a further extension from the MPC requirements waiver?
I will include the 10-minute restriction in that.
Good, perfect, thank you.
Thank you all, I appreciate it, and thanks.
Thank you. Okay, again, I had the agenda. Okay, next on our agenda is S/LD 26-2. Application for preliminary/final land development. Aqua is proposing upgrades to the existing Neshaminy water plant to introduce a new PFAS per and, whoa, this is a word I'm going to have to work on. Polyfluoroalkyl polyfluoroalkyl, is that the word? Something like that. Substances. Treatment system. 2520 and 2050 Old Lincoln Highway, Langhorne, PA, tax map parcels 22-014 at -001 and 22-014-002 in the M1 Light Manufacturing District. 3 addresses were notified. Thank you for being patient. You have the floor.
Good evening. My name is Gina Gerber. I'm an attorney with Riley, Riper, Holland, and Colagreco. I'm here on behalf of Aqua this evening. I'm joined by a representative of Aqua, Brennan Kelly, as well as our project engineers. We have Janie Jordan with us this evening and Jocelyn Giuliano. We did prepare a little PowerPoint to kind of give you all a little bit of background about why we're doing this land development, but just very briefly, as you've indicated, this is a property in the M1 Light Manufacturing District. It already has an aqua treatment plant. The purpose for this land development and the improvements that are being proposed are to address PFAS. So I'm going to call them that because I'm not going to try and pronounce it, as you have bravely done. So this is something that Aqua has undertaken in all of their treatment plants. It's an EPA mandate. It's something that they're required to do, but are also doing a very thorough job of it, which means that many of their treatment plants in this area are undergoing development and changes in order to be able to address the contaminants in the drinking water under the new EPA guidelines. This is a property where the improvements are within a fenced-off area on a much larger property. The improvements that are being proposed are still going to be within that fenced-off area. You're going to see the removal of one of the existing basins, and then the introduction of 2 new buildings and a pump station on the property in order to be able to accommodate these improvements. And I think this is maybe one of the more important aspects of this project, there are not going to be any additional trips, employees, people coming to and from the site that aren't already there. There are full-time employees that access this site on a daily basis. We're not going to be increasing that as part of this application. We have requested 2 waivers with this application, the first being administrative in order to be able to review this as a combined preliminary final application. The second waiver was, to the extent required, we did ask for a waiver to not submit the landscaping plan. There are no major landscaping happening here outside of some additional landscaping in a swale that's currently on the property, and we can talk about that a little bit if you like. But without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our project engineers to walk you through the PowerPoint so you can get a clearer idea of what's happening on this property.
Yeah, thanks, Gina. We have no buses. We have no nearby neighbors. So, but yeah, she walked through it all. But
See what we go through here? See what we go through?
I do. I hope it's easier on us. So, yeah, like she mentioned, we're at the Neshaminy Water Treatment Plant. It's an existing plant. It's owned and operated by Aqua. We're here on their behalf. The plant produces 15 million gallons per day of clean drinking water. They'll continue to do so. So the zoning map just shows where we are within Middletown, down in the corner. And again, as mentioned, we're in the M1 Light Manufacturing District. It's pretty self-explanatory there. Here's just an aerial view of what the plant looks like now. The basin is the huge part of the site. That's what's going to be demolished. And we can come back to this if there's questions. So. No, we both live by there. Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah, I think Route 1, they had just redone that section there. And then MLK Drive is west. Or Lincoln Highway, sorry. So again, the why we're doing the project, this is sort of the meat of the project, is the PFAS treatment. The Environmental Protection Agency has released the new regulations, and we intend to be in compliance by 2029, ideally sooner. So the PFAS concentrations, there's just elevated concentrations in the drinking water. So we're adding one new process to the treatment, and that process will eliminate the PFAS. To do that, we're demolishing the basin, and then we're adding 2 buildings and 1 water storage tank. That's like that, and I'll show you where we're doing those. Let's see if this, oh yeah. So the footprint of where the basin is, once that gets demolished, there'll be a bunch of site regrading there. That's where the 2 new buildings are going to go. The PFAS treatment building is south, and then the tank is north of that. The small building up on the right is the pumping station. Those are really the improvements. You can see where Neshaminy Creek is. We have a nice riparian buffer there, it won't be disturbed. And as Gina said, everything's within the existing fence line. Any questions on this one? No. Good. Okay. And we're just, we have demonstrated the fire truck. I think we sent the updated traffic plans today, so hopefully.
We got to lighten it up sometimes.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I did speak with Alan a few times, and we haven't gotten his formal approval yet, but we got his review letter, and we believe we addressed his comments. We showed the turning analysis, and you should all have the updated plans.
I think it's sheet 14 and 15
Yeah,
shows
exactly.
the truck turning templates.
Exactly, yeah. C110 and C111. So, Matthew's lesson on those, hopefully. I don't have them on the screen, but.
No, I'm sorry, you can keep going. We're listening. I'm
All
trying.
right, that was pretty
I got
much the
so
meat.
much stuff up
Yeah,
here, I
that
can't
was
keep
pretty
track.
much the meat. The next few things are just to show you these are the 2 proposed buildings, just show you what they'll look like. We intend to have them match sort of what's already there, and show you what they do. This is the actual treatment building itself. It's proposed. We're under the 35-foot height requirement. And again, just trying to match what's on site already. And this is to show you what the vessels look like inside. So that there'll be the actual treatment to remove the PFAS. And this is the water tank that we're proposing, so it's a pretty large structure. Well, it is not considered a building though, so that we did speak with the fire chief again. This one is not considered a building. There won't be any people in it. It's a water storage tank, so that access to that is not the same as the access to the buildings. I think, and then this is just our land development plan. Again, everyone should see it. I think it's probably difficult to see there. And then we have some site photos if there's any need to see that. But otherwise, we're open for questions.
Any questions? You're good? You're waiting for us for questions?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, actually, I had a question.
Go ahead, Pete.
Just a generic, very generic question. You treat water, potable water here. What's your service area? The water that you collect from the creek here, you treat, and then how is the service area from this plant?
22,000. Yeah, I think the stats say it's over 822,000 customers are treated. Now, the actual parameters of that service area, I'm not entirely.
In terms of townships, is it only Middletown? Is it Middletown and Ben Salem? I'm just curious.
And then Pete, I'm going to go to Dominic after they answer this
You
question.
cut me off, yeah, I'm done.
No, I was just
Brendan Kelly with Aqua, engineer. Serves multiple townships.
Okay,
Contiguous system with all, we call it Southeast PA. So
very good.
Water from Valley Forge up to here and vice versa. So.
Wow, okay. I didn't think it was that large an area. I
Me
really
neither.
didn't.
I thought it was just my house. Dominic, you have the floor. Any questions you have or any issues?
No issues. We had some comments, but they have since addressed them with a response letter, so they will be complying with the comments we did have. They, I'll just reiterate, they did mention that they're regrading, they're removing more than half an acre of existing impervious, but they are providing a vegetated swale for the stormwater management. The other comments we had, some were mostly were minor. There was one comment about the landscaping. It sounds like you are requesting a waiver from providing a landscaping plan. So that is new to our review letter, but that would certainly be one that we would support. It's just not noted on our first review letter, so I
So-
did want to mention that.
Yeah, and I think the Environmental Advisory Council suggested a list of native plant species in order to include in that vegetative swale. We are incorporating those. That's not an issue, but just for clarification, there is no further landscaping proposed in connection with this improvement at this time. So we're utilizing the existing vegetation surrounding the site, the riparian buffer near the creek area. None of that's being disturbed as part of this. So there's not any new vegetation per se outside of that vegetated swale.
And we would have to add that in as another waiver?
Yes, so as they began with the presentation, it would be the waiver that's already listed in front of you for the, allowing preliminary and final, but then it would also be, and I don't know the exact section off the top of my head from the sourdough, but it would be a waiver from provide, oh, you got it, good, very good. All right, it would, yeah.
When we did our enclosure letter for the application, we did include that waiver. So it's two sections. It's section 440-303, D as in dog, 4, E as in egg, and also 440-304, D as in dog, 4, I'm sorry, this is duplicative. 303 and 304, D, 4E are the sections, so.
Before I read it, Jim, I'll get that from you then. Okay, so other than that, Don, you would support that and you're okay with that whole situation?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna guess, Matt, that we don't have any traffic issues, or do we? Uh-oh, Matt's standing up.
Before we move on from that, just it's worth mentioning with the swale and everything, we do have an NPDES permit in the works. We received comments and we'll be resubmitting that one. But we intend to comply with all their comments.
Okay. Matt?
We did have a couple comments regarding access and circulation and access for emergency services to the building. We did receive plans and response comments today. We'll be doing a formal review, just like Dominic will, the revised plans. But what I've seen so far and their responses and what they've shown on the revised plans, I don't have a concern with a recommendation of approval.
And then I guess I'll ask the same question that I asked on the previous case. Do you think any of these things you're going to look at are going to greatly affect the outlook of what we're looking at now?
No, there just wasn't enough information to assess previously what the impacts would be. And
Okay.
at this point, they provided the
Dominic, it would be the same with you, or?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. All right. Anybody from the public here to speak out or for or against this? Amber, do you have any questions? We'll let you lead.
Sounds pretty straightforward to me. I'm good.
Okay, and they're doing this to make our drinking water safer. Joe, go to you. Pete. Pete had one question, and I don't have any questions either. So then, with no questions and us having a good report from Dominic and Matt, I would say we put this up for a motion. I hope I got the right one. Yes, I got it. So I'm going to make a recommendation of approval for S/LD number 26-2, application proposing upgrades to the existing Neshaminy water plant at 2520 and 2050 Old Lincoln Highway, Langhorne, PA 19047. Bucks County tax map parcels 22-014-001 and 22-014-002. Upgrades include the construction of new PFAS, I'm not going to try that word again, treatment plant, intermediate pump station, and clear well. Recommendations based on a plan entitled Neshaminy Water Treatment Plan PFAS Treatment Upgrade, Preliminary and Final Land Development Plans, compromising 21 sheets and dated March 2026. Plan is prepared by ACOM of Conshohocken, PA. Recommendation is further based on the compliance of the comments provided in the A, January 2026 letter from Isaac E. Kessler, PE of Remington Vernick Engineers, Middletown Township Engineer. B, a January 30th, 2026 letter from Matthew D. Johnston, PE of Pannoni Associates, their Middletown Township's Traffic and Transportation Engineer. C is a January 7th, 2026 review letter from the Bucks County Planning Commission. D is a January 20th, 2026 letter from Alan Welsh, Middletown Township Fire Marshal. E is a January 30th, 2026 letter from Middletown Township Environmental Advisory Council. F is the requested waiver from Section 440-301 to allow preliminary and final land development. And we have one final item that Jim is going to read for us now.
So that would be G, waivers from sections 440-303D4E and 440-304D4E to not have to provide a landscaping plan.
Okay, seeing that everyone heard that, I will ask the board for I made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Pete seconds. All in favor? Aye. Amber? I just heard her. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Glad I'll have safer drinking water soon. All right, next on the agenda is review of zoning hearing board. Jim, anything exciting?
I'm going to say no. It's all residential. That's scheduled for next week. And actually, we have no applications that are scheduled for the last week of March as well so far. So,
Wow.
Yeah, so everything was residential. If it did, I can't remember all of the things that were on there, but I know they were all residential projects. And you wouldn't, even if they were granted approvals, you would never see them because they're
never see 'em.
not tied to land development. Yeah.
Okay. Amber, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
All right. Well, then, seeing as our next other item down the agenda is other business, is there any other business to come before this board? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing as none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.